Hey Gems, welcome back. It's Serena. Today I'm here to share with you the life update I promised in my August favorites. If you haven't seen that, I will leave a link down below. Also, probably a link like right here somewhere. But yes, I did say in that video that I had some major life transitions happening, and I was like, if you guys want the full story, help me get 5 likes and I will share that. And I actually got more than 5, which was so cool. So thank you so much. That totally like brightened up my day when I realized it was like, oh, there's more than 5 likes. That's so cool, because when you have a small channel, little things like that can totally make your day. So just saying, thank you so much. So yes, this is going to be kind of like a life update slash story time on how I quit my job and why and all that stuff. So hopping into it, a little bit of backstory. I had been with the restaurant that I was a server for about going on 12 years. In November would have been 12 years. The restaurant is a restaurant and bakery that focuses mostly on breakfast. They're open 6 to 11, so they do have lunch and dinner, but it's like steak at night, some ribs. The breakfast is where I was at, though. Breakfast is when they're busy. Breakfast is when you make your money. And weekends, oh my god, weekend for morning, it was just crazy. And it's a company that has 2 different restaurants. One of them sounds like the word narrow, but it doesn't start with an N. And the other one rhymes with ho-hos, but it doesn't start with an H. We'll leave it. Replace the H's with this letter here and you'll know what I'm talking about, especially if you're in Southern California. Nevada and Arizona have a few locations, but they have closed a lot. 2 years ago they had over 200 locations. They have closed so many since the new owners took over. They're down to like 60, so that was a bad sign. Like, that was one of the reasons that I was like, when's this one going to close too? Like, what? Everyone's just kind of waiting for the ball to drop there. So that was motivation to leave. But being there so long, you make connections with people. I loved my coworkers. I still love them. What am I talking about? It's like they become family. Like, so many of them I've known for the 12, like a good 4 or 5 of them had been there for like 10 to 12 to 15 years. Actually, when it came to servers, there was one server when I left who'd been there longer than me in the mornings, and one server in the evening who'd been there longer than me. But the 3 of us were like the longest standing of the servers. And then other people had been there like 9, 10, like they'd come in after us, but we were the 3 like OG servers. One of the bakers has been there since God knows when. And the cooks too. Like, a couple of those cooks had been to like different locations and transferred there. So it's just one of those companies where like people stay because you make connections with your coworkers, your guests. I have guests who've called me like, what happened? We went and they told us you quit. You're not here anymore. What happened? Like, I had someone who was like, can we go to breakfast? Like, hey, what's going on? So that's been really sweet, to have people like worry and want to know. Like, it was kind of an abrupt quitting. But those are the kind of connections you make when you're there for so long and you work in a kind of family-oriented place like that. I mean, I've seen customers' kids grow up. I've seen customers whose kids were in, little booster seats who are now starting high school, and I'm like, oh my god, I'm so old. When'd you get so tall? Like, it's just, you're there for so long that it's just, you go through, it's such a big part of my life. So it was really hard to make the decision to leave, but there were a lot of factors. Number 1, they were closing a bunch of stores. Number 2, I got my degree last year. I have a degree in gender, ethnic, and multicultural studies, and so I need to either get my master's or go into the teaching credential program. And I was going to take this past year to decide. I'm actually going to a grad fair next month, so I can kind of get some information and just submit my applications this year. But I'm trying to decide between counseling, teaching, or maybe law. So I've kind of taken this past year. I was like, I'll just give myself some time off from school to decide on what I want to do next. But with my kind of degree, I definitely need to continue my education, and so I'm just looking into my options. But yeah, I don't want to stop with just my bachelor's, and I definitely have some goals for my future. Like, ultimately, I'd like to either counsel college students or be a college professor. So that's kind of like what I plan for my future, and I had just kind of put off things. But I need to advance in my career. Like, I need to, even if I start off at a high school district as a clerk, at least I'm working with a district, and a lot of the times, if you work for a district, they will help subsidize your master's program or your teaching credential program. So I'm looking into those kind of jobs now because I really just want to get away from customer service and food service and transition closer to what my ultimate goal is. So that's another reason why I was like, I need to do this. Like, I had gotten comfortable and it's very easy to get comfortable. There's a guy who's like one of the smartest people I know who still works there. He's a biochemical engineer, and he's still serving tables because he was just like, I don't know, I felt uncomfortable leaving, and I'm like, I can't be that person. Like, I did not go to school for so long. I did not go through so many hurdles to get stuck as a server. So that had been my thought process over the past few months as well. And then management was a big thing. Management was showing a lot of favoritism, and specifically my GM was showing a lot of favoritism with a couple people in ways that was impacting everyone else. When one person gets to pretty much set their schedule and take as many days off as they want, while other people are getting yelled at and penalized for doing the same thing, you're like, what is going on here? Like, she just took 6 vacation days. Like, she just took 2 weeks off and then came back for a week and took another 2 weeks off, and yet I get penalized for calling in sick? Like, what? Like, things like that were getting to me. And there's also one manager in particular. Her name rhymes with Mally, but it starts with a letter that does this. I don't know if I can do it backwards. Does it like that. Let's say that the snake has a similar letter, and that's a nickname I had for her because she was just a snake. She was very ignorant. You could tell this person, hadn't studied much, and I didn't really hold that against her so much, but it was her ignorance that made her bigoted and racist towards me and my fellow Latino coworkers that, really made me mad. Like, she would rather send me home than a Caucasian coworker that I had, because that coworker wouldn't, ever argue with her because they both didn't speak Spanish, and when the manager would tell me to stop speaking Spanish, I would defend myself because that's racist and illegal. So that was one of the key things. She also kept getting on about me about my hair, and I was like, I have gray hair. Yes, earlier, a few months ago, I did have like purplish, blue, and green, but if the GM doesn't have a problem with it, why do you? And she'd be like, well, it's not up to standard. And I was like, right, but the GM's allowing it, so. And she was like, fine. So, ultimately, it came down to a bunch of things just adding up. Customers have just been, the economy's up and down. People are angry a lot of the times, and I was just tired of being, the bunch of people, getting the brunt of people's anger also. And I was just like, what am I doing with my life? Like, I have a degree. Why am I still feeding people bacon and eggs every day? Like, what am I doing? And then it came down to this manager reporting me a couple times when she didn't need to, and she would skip over the GM and send emails to corporate about incidents that we had that didn't need to be reported to corporate. She was supposed to go to the GM, and if the GM didn't address the situation, then she could skip her. But no, she decided she was just going to skip her. So this one particular manager and I were having a lot of issues. She would tell me, like, you can't speak Spanish on the floor. Customers are complaining that you're talking about them. And I was like, well, then the issue isn't that I'm talking about them in Spanish. It's that we're talking about them in general. Because there's no difference between your buddy, your blonde, blue-eyed buddy right there, coming up to both of us and saying, that guy's a freaking asshole, than if Maria over here comes up and says, ese es un pendejo. Like, there's no difference. She said it in English, she said it in Spanish, but the point is, they're talking badly about a guest. And so that is the problem. Address the problem. Don't talk about your customers. But the language, that's not a thing. It's illegal for you to tell us we can't speak in our native tongue. It's illegal. You can't do that. It's discriminatory. Stop it. And we went back and forth over that a few times. She would rather throw away food than let an employee eat it. Like, if a salad was made, it was supposed to be dressing on the side and had the dressing. She would rather throw that out than feed it to the busboy or the prep cook or whoever. She would specifically come up and check if I ordered food to make sure I didn't get more than I should, because I was friends with the cook. Like, everyone got bonuses from the cooks, but it was only an issue when I did, because, like I said, I didn't put up with her foolishness. So then, to my bad luck, I injured myself and I had to do light duty for 2 weeks, and in that time my GM got sick, so this manager was put in charge. Well, she wasted no time calling up the district manager and having her come to the store, and somehow, miraculously, they couldn't find my doctor's note, and so they needed me to update it by the next day, or they were going to demote me to a server, to a cashier, and I was like, cashiers don't make tips, like, what? And they were like, yeah, well, we need you to cashier. How convenient. The weekend the cashier asked for it off. You need to demote me. Okay, no. And then the district manager is like, and your hair is a problem. And I was like, why? It's gray. Our customers have gray hair. Most of them are senior citizens. Like, what's the big deal? She was like, yeah, but you had to bleach your hair to gray, and that makes it unnatural. And I was like, well, I bleached my hair to blonde, but that seems to be natural enough. She was like, yeah, because in your age group, blonde is still okay, but not gray. First off, she didn't know my age. I asked her, can you tell me my age? Can you look at me and tell me how old I am? She was like, well, I mean, you're in your 20s. And I was like, no, I'm actually not. I'm hitting my mid-30s. I'm going to be 34 this year. So, you're being ageist, and I could sue over this. I can also sue over your buddy here telling me to stop speaking Spanish. So, I'll give you guys some time to think about that, and I'll go to the doctor tomorrow and get back to you. So I did. Went back to the doctor. They told me to take 2 weeks off to rest my hand. Came back, and they were super short-staffed. And I was like, oh, here's that update, Mally. I actually can't work for 2 weeks, so bye. And she's like, oh, but we're short-staffed. I'm like, well, you wanted to know what my doctor said, and he said I need to take 2 weeks off. So here you go. Took the 2 weeks off, really thought about it, talked to my boyfriend, my family, my friends. It was just like, I hate my job. I hate my job. She's making me miserable. I really don't want to go back to it. And they were like, then don't. Especially my boyfriend, he was like, then don't. You're miserable, you hate it, you've hated it for a long time, just quit, babe. I was like, but, I mean, I don't have that much in savings, and he was like, well, I have some savings, I'm still working, and you supported me when I was without work for a while, so if I can return the favor now, don't stress, I'll handle the bills, do what you need to do, but, you know, you went to school, get the heck out of there. And if it takes you a while to find something else, we'll make do. And so I was lucky enough to have that kind of support system that gave me the opportunity to quit. So I went back after my 2-week, injury time period, and just the GM was back at that time too. I was like, thank you so much. I appreciate your leadership, and I appreciate everything that everyone here has done for me, but I need to do what's best for myself. I need to pursue the career that I studied for, and if I don't step away now that I've kind of weaned myself from this place, I'll come back and get comfortable again, and then I'll never leave, and I don't want that. And she was like, you've been really unhappy for a long time, so good. I'm glad. Good for you. Get out there. I'm sure you'll find something. You're a great employee, and there's no hard feelings. If you want to come back, you're more than welcome. And that was it. I walked out of there like, oh my God, I'm unemployed. Like, that was the first thing going through my mind. I'm still adjusting to that idea, but I'm applying to a bunch of different positions at my local community colleges. I don't care if I have to be a clerk, secretary. There's a high school, a couple positions in like the local elementary and high school districts as like Spanish to English translator for parents, and I don't care if I have to be an office aide. I'm ready to move into something more stable with benefits and a regular schedule and join the real world, I guess you could say. So yeah, that has been my transition, my change in life. It's been scary, and yes, I'm broke, and it's not easy. I'm so used to being independent. I didn't have to answer to anyone. I hadn't had to ask anyone for money for years. My boyfriend and I have our separate bank accounts, and I'm used to, making my cash and paying my bills and handling my stuff. And now I can't, and it's frustrating and terrifying and all that good stuff, but that's life. And if you don't take a chance, things are going to change. Like, I wasn't going to get anywhere by doing the same thing I'd been doing for so long. So that was my thought process. I was like, you know what? I have to let this go. I love this job. I love these people. But I can't expect anything to improve if I don't do anything different. So that was the decision I decided to make, and I am in the process of looking for work, and I will let you guys know if anything comes up. But yeah, that's my story time. So thank you so much for watching, guys. Keep your fingers crossed for me, because there's quite a few positions out there that I'm like dying to get into, and the thing holding me back is my inexperience. Like, I've only been a server pretty much my whole adulthood so far. So I know that that's what's keeping me from getting a lot of calls and things. So pray for me if you pray. Fingers crossed. Send good vibes. I desperately need them, and I really appreciate them, and I hope you guys will stick around. I will be posting, of course. I have time right now, so I will be posting probably pretty regularly, And in my personal life, I do have a family member at the house who's in hospice care, and that's also caused some pauses in my job search because we were told this person would last 1 to 2 days. It's been a few weeks, and my dad, when he was dying, they told him 4 days, and he lasted a month and a half. So that's also another stressful factor in this, is the fact that, like, since I am home, I'm the go-to when it comes to the social worker, the nurses, the funerary stuff, all that. It's been another kind of loophole that I've had to deal with, but, you know, that's life. You go through these kind of situations, and you deal with them as best as you can, and you'll always have your ups and your downs, and sometimes you're up. Right now, you could say I'm kind of down, but at the same time, I have hope, and that's all that matters, is that you stay positive, you believe in yourself, and so that's what I'm doing. So yeah, I think that's it, guys. If you have any questions, let me know in the comments. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to click like on this video as well, and I will see you soon. Hope you have a great day. Bye!